ever sat through a game and wondered, what the hell happened to my continuity? So many game series just make a game and stick it any place that they want in the storyline, and it can make things really confusing. Well, we're here to help you set things straight with the true plot, the not so true plot, and those odds and bits that seem to crop up all the time. Today's game series is one of the most beloved series ever, Legend of Zelda, and obviously, there's gonna be spoilers. Now first off, you're probably like, what? Zelda games are linked? It's time for a little explanation. For decades, gamers tried to make sense of the Legend of Zelda plot, but Nintendo kept mum on actually what happened in Hyrule. It wasn't until the 25th anniversary when Nintendo released the official Hyrule history book, and along with it, the official Zelda Timeline. Once again, these games have been released completely out of order, and it actually breaks into 3 different paths once you get to Ocarina of Time. At that point, there's the Adult Link timeline, the Child Link timeline, and the most interesting, the Failed timeline, where basically Link actually failed and Ganon ruled for a while. We're going to spend the next few episodes with the complete story explaining the storylines for each game and how everything links together as best as we can. But since each game is massively deep with Easter eggs and little plot points and subplots, we're not going to be able to explain everything. So make sure you bring up your favorite parts of each game in the comments down below. Anyway, all information has been collected from us playing the games that we could, the wikis, the forums, and the Hyrule history book. Also, forgive us if anything is horribly mispronounced, as most of these titles had no voiceover and we're working on our own idea of how it should be. Lastly, we'll recap the important bits of the history at the end of every episode. No need for it after every game this time. This isn't nowhere near as bad as Metal Gear was. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. The world of Legend of Zelda begins all the way back at its creation. In the beginning there were 3 goddesses, Din, the goddess of power, Nayru, the goddess of wisdom, and Ferora, the goddess of courage. They created all of the inhabitants of the world that we'll come to know and love. After their work was completed, the goddesses all left the world, and in their place they left the goddess Hylia with the Triforce to act as its guardian. It is unknown right now why they did this. It is said, however, that whoever controls all 3 pieces of the Triforce will have their greatest desires come true. Since this series is entirely based around the Triforce, let's take a minute to explain exactly what the Triforce really is. The Triforce will grant the wish of all of those who touch it. It does not distinguish between good and evil. This means that while one person could wish for world peace, another person might wish for the end of the world. There is a catch though. In order to control the Triforce, you will need to have the balance of the 3 virtues that make up the goddesses. This means the perfect balance of power, wisdom, and courage. If you don't have that perfect balance, then the Triforce is going to split into 3 pieces. So if a power-hungry villain were to, say, find it, they would be left with the power piece of the Triforce, while the remaining 2 pieces would then appear in the hands of 2 other individuals, chosen by the will of the goddesses. Once this happens, it'll be up to one person to find all 3 pieces again, and then they will finally get their wish. Alright, it's time to get to the beginning of Skyward Sword. The time period at which Hylia protected the Triforce was also a time of turmoil. Demons arose all over the land, and their leader, Demise, tried to take over the world. Many battles ensued, and the goddess Hylia became worried for the humans and the Triforce. To protect them, she gathered them onto a single plot of land and sent it into the sky. With that, she placed a barrier of clouds between the city in the sky and the land down below. No one was ever allowed to cross this barrier, to go from the surface to the island, or to go from the island to the surface. The goddess and the surface tribes, which made up of non-human tribes such as the Goron and the Zora, defeated Demise and sealed him away. The goddess was concerned though, as the seal on the Demon King was growing weak. After a failed attempt to use the power of the Triforce to seal him away for good, the goddess decided that the only way she could ever use it was to denounce her divinity and be reborn as a human. Thus, the goddess Hylia passed on, and in her passing, the seal was entrusted to the Shaik tribe to be watched over and guarded until her eventual return. Thousands of years passed, and the floating island became known as Skyloft, and then was forgotten in time. Once the seal on the Demon King began to weaken, the goddess was finally reincarnated as Zelda. Conveniently at this time, a young hero had just proved his worth, and his reward was to receive the sailcloth from Zelda at a yearly ceremony. This young hero in training was named Link, and the sailcloth allowed him to float safely to the ground from very large heights. But things didn't go as planned. During this ceremony, a follower of Demise, Girahim, who had been searching for the goddess the whole time, finally found Zelda. He used a tornado to penetrate the clouds and bring Zelda to the surface world. Following the path of destiny that had been laid out and passed down through the generations within the Skyloft, Link journeyed to the Temple of the Goddess, where he met Fi, the spirit of the sword, and took the Goddess Sword. With that, he sailed to the world below, where his journey would begin. Meanwhile, on the ground, Zelda was discovering her true nature, and after almost being captured, meets the Shaik tribe. It is here that she meets her guardian, Impa. Alright, time to take a breather to keep you up to date. There's a lot of initial plot introduced in the first title, and we want to make sure we cover all the important historical facts so that everything after this makes sense. There are 3 very important characters introduced right now who will be reoccurring for most of the Zelda titles. Link, our untrained hero, Zelda, the reincarnation of the goddess, and Impa, Zelda's guardian throughout all of the ages. Alright, back to Skyward Sword. Link and Zelda end up traveling 1,000 years into the past, where Zelda stays behind to slumber in a temple, as this is the only way that she can re-strengthen that seal. Upon returning to the future, Link completes a series of trials, making him worthy of the Triforce. He gets his wish, which is to restore the statue of the goddess, and with that, Zelda awoke in the present time once again. Enraged, Girahim kidnaps Zelda and brings her back through the Gate of Time. Using Zelda, Girahim conducts a ritual to resurrect the Demon King Demise, undoing everything that Link and Zelda have accomplished by strengthening the seal. Link follows and defeats Girahim, but he is too late. The Demon King Demise has returned to the world. Upon his defeat, Demise is sealed into the Master Sword, and the demons on the surface are no longer a threat. Everyone returns to the present time and everything is peaceful, and a new beginning has restarted. With that, Zelda decides to live on the surface and forever protect the Triforce. But this is far from the end, and more the beginning of our saga. The Demon King is now in a never-ending cycle of reincarnation, and it will always require a hero, filled with the courage of the goddess Aurora, to defeat and seal him. Alright, for those of you who are new to the complete story series, at the end of every game or episode, we'll recap all of those important bits that you're going to need to understand so that you can move further in the story. Alright, here we go. There were originally 3 goddesses who left the world in the hands of a single goddess, Hylia, and gave her the Triforce. The Triforce will grant the wish of anyone who possesses the 3 virtues of power, wisdom, and courage. To protect the humans, Hylia sent them into the skies to be a thing of the legends. After defeating the Demon King, Hylia passed on to allow herself to be reborn. A time passed and a follower of the Demon King attempted to find the reborn Hylia, now known as Zelda. After kidnapping her, a hero stepped forward, claiming the Goddess Sword, and saved the day. Upon defeat, the Demon King was sealed within the Master Sword, and the land was cursed to fight him for generations. With that, Zelda's descendants became the royal family, and a time of peace begins. Thanks for joining us for this first massive episode of Legend of Zelda: The Complete Story, and next week we'll be going over the miniature world and the 4 Swords of Power. Don't forget to go check out the Metal Gear Solid Complete Story, our first concept video for this new series, and don't forget to leave comments down below of the game series you want to see. Also comment what your favorite Zelda game is and why. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget to like this video, follow us on Twitter, and like our Facebook.